Hello everyone, my name is Flavio Pereira. I'm part of a field enablement at Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. Today we'll review our Resource Manager service, which allow you to deploy your terraform templates on OCI. On this lesson, we will describe the basics, components, and the benefits of Resource Manager. We'll explain how to prepare your terraform files, how to use with Resource Manager, and we will perform a quick demo to show how to deploy few resources on OCI. So Resource Manager is a fully managed service that lets you provision infrastructure resources on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. You can bring your Terraform templates definition and easily create and manage your infrastructure resources. It's going to allow you to use infrastructure as a code to automated provision process across all OCI resources. Resource Manager also integrates with Identity and Access Management, so you can define granular permissions for Terraform operations. So it currently supports command line interface, SDK, and the UI console. So here are some Resource Manager benefits. So first one, Resource Manager unlocks infrastructure automation capabilities, so you can standardize your infrastructure and easily replicate your environments. Second, it gives you a deep integration with OCI platform and enables developers to leverage the entire OCI API catalog. Third one, Resource Manager allows you to share and manage infrastructure's configurations and state files across multiple teams and platforms, improving collaboration. Fourth one, while you can install and run Terraform locally and use Terraform modules to do specific tasks, developers will be happy to know that OCI Terraform provider functionality is completely supported by Resource Manager. And the fifth one, Resource Manager itself is a free service where you are paying only for the underlying infrastructure and resources provisioned by Terraform. So as I mentioned before, Resource Manager allows you to automate the process of provisioning infrastructure resources on OCI. So it has two main components. One is stack and the second one is jobs. So stacks represent as a set of OCI resources you want to create. This you have all your Terraform files configuration inside of a zip file. Stacks are attached to a specific region and compartments. However, the resources of a given stack can be deployed in different regions and compartments. Job: perform the actions that are defined in your configuration. Only one job at a time can run on a given stack. When you have to run a job to provision a different set of resources, it's recommended that you create a separate stack and use a different configuration. Resource Manager integrates with Oracle Cloud Infrastructure Identity and Access Management, so customers can define granular permissions for Terraform operations. As you can see, you can define policies to allow only a specific group to execute jobs using Resource Manager, and also define what actions they can take. So on this example here on this slide, we are allowing the group dev XYZ to perform jobs in a compartment where they cannot destroy resources. When working with Resource Manager, all you have to do is make sure that your provider configuration is adjusted to use Resource Manager. That means you can omit the user OCID, private key, fingerprint, and tenancy OCID from your provider configuration. All the rest of the files will remain exactly the same. You might be asking, if I have to use some variables, how do I do that in Resource Manager? Well, if you need to pass any value for a variable, declare that a terraform tf vars file or variables tf file, you can use the variable option when creating a stack. And as you can see on this example, I'm passing values for a specific region, compartment, and SSH public key. All right, let's take a look on the Resource Manager workflow. On step 1, You can define your configuration by creating the terraform files for OCI resources. It's also very important to avoid hard code information like passwords and SSH keys inside of your terraform files. Once you're done with the configuration, you must create a zip file with all the terraform files that you created. Also, make sure that your terraform files are at the root level. Resource Manager is not capable to locate configuration files that are not in a directory inside of the zip file. On step 2, you create a stack. Stacks, as mentioned before, are a collection of resources. All the resources that you specify in your configuration files are provisioned in the stack that you created. On the stack creation, you define your Terraform variables used by your stack. For example, you can define on each region and compartment you want to deploy your stack. On step 3, you run the job by selecting one of the 3 Terraform actions against the stack that you created. You can do a plan, apply, or destroy. So this is the flow of Resource Manager job execution. When you run a plan against the stack, the plan job parses your configuration and creates an execution plan, but does not act on this stack. Once the plan job has finished, you can evaluate the execution plan by viewing the jobs logs entries to confirm that it performs the expected operations. If you're satisfied with the execution plan, then you're ready to go and do the provision of the stack with the resource manager that you define, right? So the apply job takes the execution plan and applies to the stack. So the result is going to be a fully provisioned resources on OCI. So essential information about the state of your resources configuration is kept in a state file, which is a JSON file. The state file maps your stack's resources to your configuration and also maintains essential configuration such as resource dependencies. Resource Manager generates and updates state files automatically. It's also important to mention that Resource Manager by default supports state locking by allowing only one job at a time to run on a given stack. All right, so let's do a Resource Manager demo and show how to deploy a stack on OCI. All right, so here I am on the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure dashboard, and I'm using an Oracle Resource Manager user for this demo, where I created a YAML policy just to give permission and access to a specific compartment. So I have a compartment called demo, and that's where I'm going to deploy the Terraform stack using the Resource Manager. So let's go to the Resource Manager. So we click on the menu on the left side. Then we can scroll down all the way to Solutions, Platform, and Edge, and then we're going to find Resource Manager. On the Resource Manager, I'm going to click on Stacks. That's going to open up this screen where we can start creating our stack. So let's do that. I'm going to use the compartment demo for my stack. So I'm going to create a stack. I'm going to give it a name, and that stack's going to be an HA app stack. And I'm going to give it a little description, and then here you can be a little bit more descriptive and just give more information on what exactly your stack will execute. So I'm just going to put a little description here. This is my HA app, the app deployment. I'm going to browse my zip file, which has all the Terraform files that I created for that specific resource. So I'm going to call that orm resource.zip file. So I'm just going to click open here. And for this particular stack, I need to input 3 variables. I need to pass the region, I need to pass the compartment ID, and my SSH public key value. So let's just add those variables here. So the first one is going to be the region, which I want to deploy on US Phoenix 1 region. I'm going to use the compartment _ OCID, and I'm gonna grab my compartment OCID here as well. So I'm just copy the information and put it over here. And another variable is my SSH underscore public underscore key, and that value is, I'm gonna copy as well and enter right here. This is my SSH key, my public key, right? So before I click create, I just want to show my terraform configuration environment, which is the files inside of that zip file. So as I mentioned in the lecture, those are the files that I have created before. So this is my Terraform stack that I use to deploy when I install Terraform manually on my computer. So like I mentioned on the slides, the only change that I have to do is change my provider here. I'm not using the tenancy OCID, the fingerprint or private key, right? I'm just omit all that. All I have here is the region where I want to deploy. I have a variable region that I'm going to pick up from the variables that I put on the stack, the compartment OCID as well, and right here down I have the SSH public key as well, right? All the other variables are pre-populated here, right? So we're going to use that to create the compute resources, the load balancer, the network as well, and I have Terraform files for each one of those resources. So all my network will be created, my compute resources, and the load balancer as well, right? And I have some outputs information. Once the Terraform finished, I'm gonna get some information like the load balancer, public IP. They'll be displayed here when it finished. So I compressed those files and created a zip file called orm resource.zip file, and that's the zip file I uploaded on my resource manager stack. So let's go back there and click on create. This is created our stack. So now you can see the state is active, and I can click on top of the stack name that I just created. That's gonna bring up the details page, and then here I can edit a stack if I want and go back to my initial input. So I can change the zip file, I can change some of the variables and the name of my stack. I can also do the same thing here on the left side. I can change the variables if I need it. I can add it here and add more variables or change some of the variables that I just entered when I created this stack. If I go back to the jobs, you can see I have the actions that I can execute it. I can plan, I can apply, I can destroy, I can delete a stack as well. I can also change the zip file just by click here, upload new one, and I can also download the zip file. So if I'm managing my infrastructure and I have a need to download that zip file to make some changes inside of the Terraform files and upload a new one, I can easily do that from the console too, right? So let's do a plan, our first action. I'm gonna call Terraform action plan, and it asks us to provide a name, and I'm gonna give a name here called AJ app plan, and let's just plan that. When I executed a plan, you can see that the state was changed to accepted for this specific job. And as you can see, there's a message here. There's a job running on the stack. After this job is completely, you can select a Terraform action or delete a stack. So I can provide the other actions. As of now, you can see for that specific job, all the actions are gray out. So which means I won't be able to do anything until the plan finished, right? So we have to wait until that plan is changed to successful, and then after that we can execute the next step, which is going to be the apply. Okay, this might take a few minutes. I'm just going to pause the video, and once the job become successful, I'll be back and we can finish the deployment. Okay, so our job succeeded. So we can see here the green state. We can see how much time it takes to execute the job. If I click here on top of the job, an AJ app plan, you can see I can see the log information. So if I take a look on the log files, I can see that the terraform was initialized and the plan execution was displayed here on the screen. So I can see what kind of resources will be created that is part of my stack, right? So I'm going to create web servers, compute resources, VCN, and the load balancer as well. So if we scroll down all the way to the end of that log file, I can see that 18 resources will be added to my OCI. I can download those logs if I want to keep that locally. I can click here to show timestamp so you can see what exactly the time that was executed each one of those portion on the line here. I can also do other changes if I want, right? So if I don't like the plan execution, if that's not what I was expecting to see it, I can just go back and redo again. Just change the zip file, put it a new one, and do a plan as well, okay? So now that we succeeded, let's just go on a terraform action and apply. So I want to apply that. So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to say HA app apply, and then I'm going to click apply. And now that's will be on the same state as well as accepted. So the resource manager will take that information of the execution plan and then execute the apply on my Oracle Cloud infrastructure. So I'm going to wait here until the resources start the creation process. Once it's started, I will show the resources inside of OCI. So I'm just pause the video for a few seconds. All right, so we can see that our job here is in progress. So which means it's starting executing the terraform plan that was executed before. So let's go take a look in some of the resources. So I suppose to have a couple instances created here on the demo compartment. There you go. So they are in a provision state right now. So I have web server 1, web server 2. So if I switch to the networking side and go to my VCN, I can see the load balancer network VCN got created as well. So I can see there's a load balancer VCN here. If I go to the load balancer, I will see the load balancer on active state. So we're just waiting for the compute resources to become ready, and then the resource manager should show the status of succeed. So let's just go back to the stacks here. I'm gonna click on top of the stack, and we'll see the job here, the apply. So if you click on the apply, it's still showing some logs. Yeah, so you can see here it's showing the log files, and actually that's the apply execution. So if I scroll down all the way to the end, you can see the log files are showing that the web servers is still creating, my web server 2 and web server 1. So once everything is finalized, the job will show the succeed here, right? So you can download the Terraform config file from that, right? You can add tags to your apply as well. So you can see here the status of the state of the job. So let's go back here on the stack. Yeah, it's still showing on in progress. All right, so we can see that the job succeeded, and the HA apply now it's on the green state. So if I click on top of here again, so if I can scroll down all the way to the log files, and then I can see that I have 18 resources add. This is the output of my OCID of the load balancer and the public IP of my load balancer. So if I go back to the resources here and try to find out the web servers, let's go on compute instances. I can see that my 2 web servers were created, and if I go to the networking load balancer, I would see my load balancer here as well. So the load balancer is still showing an unknown health status, so it's still checking the application to make sure everything works. And once everything is ready, the load balancer will be ready to go, and I'll be able to reach out my backend sets as well, right? So yeah, so you can see with Resource Manager, we just created that stack, and plan and apply. And I can also destroy. So now if I wanted to destroy everything and just deleted all the resources that I just created, I can click on destroy, and I can give it a name and say HA app destroy. And if I click on destroy, everything will be removed from the resources that just got created, right? So I'm going to delete all the web servers and the load balancer as well. So while that's operations happening, so if you go back here on the apply, I can also download the terraform state file. So it's the terraform state to have all the configuration of your resources that were created for your configuration. So I can download that terraform state file. If I want to share with someone else, I can do that. The idea is that you give access to the people that will manage the resources on the resource manager, so they can just go here, find out the stack, and if they need to do any change, they can just find the stack and just upload a new zip file with new configuration, and then executed the Terraform actions again, right? That's the idea. That's here to facilitate and give all the ability for you to provision your resources on OCI. All right, so here's a little summary of our lesson. So as I said before, build an open source software. Resource Manager is fully managed service that makes easier to use Terraform on OCI. You can leverage your existing Terraform templates files to deploy using Resource Manager. And there are no charges for using OCI Resource Manager. You're just going to pay for the infrastructure that you're deploying. You can try Resource Manager by signing up for a free trial OCI account and just follow the steps on this guide here presented on the slide, so you'll be able to go through the same demo that I just executed for you. All right, I hope you like it. Thanks for watching.